Hey everyone. All right. So I'm just laughing because I've had three takes before this, and whether it's the dogs barking or other stuff, hopefully the we're all done with dogs barking and this kind of thing. But what I'm diving into here is video number 7. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, then definitely click out of this, watch the other videos, because this will make a whole lot more sense if you watch all the other videos before this. So, as you know, if you've watched these videos, we're doing the whole who, what, why, where, when, how type of thing. So in video number 7, we're talking about when, which applies to you as you're starting with SFM. Because again, I just want to give you a good running start, giving you an advantage above and beyond what I had before I started, so that you can get to the point of taking action, being profitable and productive and all that kind of thing faster than I did. So what I want to talk about first is the sweet spot. And I'm actually going to skip ahead to this one, and I'm going to come back to this. Promise I'll come back. But the reason I didn't know what a sweet spot was is because I just had this concept of, kind of brute force, just like work, 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 and then work some more. So what I would do is essentially realize that I can definitely get away with 4 to 6 hours of sleep a night. And so the concept being, it's okay, if I sleep 4 hours, then it means I've got 20 hours to work with. And, there's still time to shower, time to get something to eat. So I would still have about 18 hours when I could work. So, but the problem became that I would work 18 hours a day for 7 days a week sometimes, certainly 6 days a week. And there have been years when I just pushed myself, day after day, week after week, month after month, but I didn't fully appreciate the impact that it was having on my wife, on my kids, on everything, just because, it's kind of the downside of being ambitious. You have, I guess, what we'll call collateral damage along the way. So what I'm trying to give you is, some insight to my journey and what I've changed along the way to get a little bit better balance. But when is too much a problem? It's a problem when you take a step back, or when, like in my case, having some conversations with my wife and kids and having them tell me that, essentially I guess the nice way to say it is that I was emotionally unavailable. And for the most part, physically, like you can see behind me, the door is closed here. So this is the way it was many times for 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for many, many months on end. But now I've been able to move forward to a point where I have more balance, because I've, through the teachings that we get through the SFM, I was able to understand this concept of the sweet spot, and we'll get to it, so hang in there. But what I just want to touch on one more thing before we go up to this, which is what I want you to be brave and honest with yourself, to think about the end results of demanding results from yourself. So like I said, it's demanding on yourself, people on your team. Like when you have a business and you've got people reporting to you, you need to think about the impact that it has on them when you're like, deliver, 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 deliver. And I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. So all I'm saying is that at a certain level it works, but I'm here to tell you, I was not able to sustain it, and to keep my family together. So, I mean, there's obviously much more detail that goes along with that, but I'm going to switch up to the sweet spot concept. And because this is something that comes out in your SFM training, so I'm just sharing it with you before you get started. So again, that you can get into the whole thing with a running start, is that there are times during the day, for me, I have 2 times during the day when I'm maximally productive. For me, it's almost always between between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. in the morning. And then at night, it's usually between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. at night. Generally speaking, it depends on how much junk food I put into myself and this kind of thing. But that sweet spot is where I have come to realize that's where I am most productive, so that when I stack up the work that requires deep thought, that's the hardest work to do, that when I look at it, I go, oh, I'll leave that till later tonight because that's going to suck. So now I just say, don't really care if it sucks. It's got to be done. And if the more it sucks, the more I do it during my maximally productive time. So I use this sweet spot time to do the hardest things of the day and get them out of the way, because I know I can knock them down when I work on it during this time. So the way you can prove it, like I've already said it, and you can probably finish the sentence before I even say it, but the way you can prove that it works is that you stack up the stuff, because I'm sure you're like me. You had a gut feel of when you're most productive. I think as humans, we just know when we can get shit done. So what I'm saying to you is that make your list of the stuff that sucks, the stuff that you don't want to do because it's hard and it just makes you frustrated. All that frustrating stuff, all that difficult stuff, do that during the time when you think you have your sweet spot. And again, just because my sweet spot's in the morning, you could have your sweet spot in the afternoon. It could be at like 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is. You just experiment, keep trying, and again, just do whatever is most difficult, most challenging in your life at that point. Do it at that time, and it'll prove itself out. I mean, if it really is your sweet spot, you will be more productive. You'll be able to get more stuff done during that time. And that's what I mean by in the flow. Like as you get into SFM and other trainings, or, other trainings within the SFM, they'll talk about being in flow, and you'll hear some different definitions of it. But at the end of the story, flow is just about being maximally productive. It's like stuff gets put in front of you and you're in your maximum productivity state, whatever your maximum level of creativity and insight and ability to solve problems, whatever your maximum is, that's your flow. At least that's my experience at this point. Like I realize that some people, or my perception is that different people are able to operate at different levels, so that what to me is a difficult financial planning problem. It might take me 15 minutes to work through during my flow time. There are people that are more advanced than me that are like my dad. He has bookkeeper training. So I could put the same problem in front of him and he could go, 5 minutes, done. Get it out of the way. But I'm not as good as he is and that kind of thing. So, which makes me think I should probably take my bookkeeping and accounting stuff to my dad. So I'm glad we had this conversation. Bring my dad into the business. So, okay, so we've moving ahead. I see we're at past the 8-minute mark. Let's talk a little bit about quality over quantity. And what I want to point out there is that when you're a business owner, it's almost always about the quality of the end product, meaning that it's not about, I don't know, if we use like advertising as an example, it's not about producing 20 crappy ads. Pardon me, because if you have 20 ads that are just shit and you put them up and nobody clicks on them, well, that was a waste of your time, wasn't it? But if you take your time and you just laser focus in on 1 or 2 or maybe 3 great ads, and people click on the ads and they buy your products and services, that's what it's about. Hence, quality over quantity. The other thing, going back to this, is being gentle with yourself. Patience, understanding the results that you can be achieved in the flow. Because again, I'm the first one to say that I spent years being brutal on myself, just like relentless, just forcing myself to get by with the absolute minimum of sleep, and just forcing myself to work very hard for weeks, months, years and years on end. And I've discovered that there's a different approach that's much more effective for my family, for my friends, for the business itself. So like even within this. I'm doing this during my flow time of the evening. So, okay, moving on. The last point that I'm sorry, one more thing. Consider your goals and anticipated outcomes. So the reason I point out that is I did not think this way. It's like before I started with SFM, it was just the to-do list. I've got the to-do list. We're just going to crank through it. And I kind of had a concept of goals and anticipated outcomes, but it was more like I I had this myopia. I just looked, I kept everything very close to me, and I just worked in more of a tactical mode. So one of the huge benefits of working, doing the SFM work is thinking more strategically. So I'm able to map out the strategy first of what I need to accomplish, and then I've got my milestones, or the bigger things that I want to accomplish. And then once I see those bigger things, then I make the to-do lists and do that. So I'm just able to be much more effective because I've got a better structure for accomplishing these things. So last thing is for the advanced listeners. So for those of you who listen to all this, and if you're already pretty much on top of that, then God bless you for listening to 11 minutes of this video. But what I want to point out is that for those of you who are advanced, that I want you to try to expand your time and get more done with meditation. So I realize we haven't talked much about meditation in the previous videos, but that is one of the secret sauces of all this. So whether if you're, Jewish or Christian or some other faith, and you don't want to do meditation because it seems too weird or whatever, then just spend time in prayer or whatever's appropriate within your framework. But the point is that if you've already got all of this buttoned up, and you've got feedback for me, then definitely share it with me. But what I want to encourage you to do is to ask if you're incorporating meditation or prayer into your daily routine. Like for me, I meditate twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and I find that it magnifies the amount of productive time that I have available. And when I say magnify, what it means is that my head is more clear, I'm more focused, I'm less easily distracted, because the meditation is able to get me into a more, I remain more calm throughout the day. I'm able to be more focused, more, much, much, much less likely to fly off the handle than I used to be. So I know life's a continuum. I'll continue to work on this until the day I die. But that's my challenge to all of you who are advanced listeners. Congratulations for listening, and appreciate your patience. So even though I said this was going to be a faster video, here we are at minute 13. So appreciate you listening, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Talk to you soon.